Hi, I'm Trent Williams. I'm an attorney here at Bull City Lawyer in Durham, North Carolina.
And I'm Damien DeNoble. I'm also an attorney and I work with Trent.
Today we're going to kick off our first video of a series talking about the H2B visa program and what it looks like in 2017.
You might have heard of the H2B visa program if you're an employer, and this is going to be very helpful to you. If you're not an employer, you're just someone that wants to come work in the United States on an H2B visa, this should be helpful for you as well.
Either way, if you want to learn more about the H2B visa program, stay tuned for the rest of this video.
Stay tuned. Too much?
Nah. The question we get all the time is, as a savvy business owner, can I do this myself? Short answer, no.
No.
This process is far too time-consuming and complex for you to be able to tackle it and run a successful business.
Now you can try it, but there's just no way of getting around the time cost of this. We'll talk about that more, but just know that our answer for now is no.
So let's take a step back and talk about this program. So, with the Trump administration, a lot of visa programs may be in jeopardy. We feel as though the H2B visa program, it's not going anywhere. You may have heard of this because it's in the news a lot. President Trump uses the H2B visa program at Mar-a-Lago. It was in the news last week.
The Winter White House.
So we feel as though this visa program, it's pretty safe.
I think he applied for like 15 of these positions.
That sounds right.
Because no American wants to work at Mar-a-Lago for President Trump.
If there were American workers who wanted the job,
yeah,
he would have to consider them per the rules of this program. But we'll get into that later.
Otherwise, somebody could audit him and get him into a lot of trouble.
That's true.
We should contact Mueller.
We'll do another video on that.
Okay, we'll do another video.
We'll come back to that.
Okay, great. Okay, let's get to the stuff.
So, the H2B visa program, it's for temporary employment where employers can bring in foreign workers to fill positions that they're unable to fill with local workers.
Can they bring in farmers?
It's non-agricultural. Landscape workers aren't farmers. Construction workers and obviously resort workers are some of the most common categories.
Although if landscape workers are only brought in to plant flowers, for example, they could be considered as agricultural workers.
They could be.
So it's all about how you define it, and that's where it also takes some time to learn what you're doing.
The first major step in your H2B application is going to be your prevailing wage determination. You have to specify exactly what your prevailing wage is based on your prevailing wage determination. So how do you get your prevailing wage determination? You file a ETA form 9141. You need to do this approximately 150 days before your desired start date.
And approximately 15 times before you get it right, if you do it on your own.
It's going to take about 30 days to get back also, so that kind of gives you an idea of the timeline you're working with. So what goes into this document? You need to have a full description of everything you anticipate your employee doing on the job. Everything.
Yeah, and it can get like pretty honorously detailed, right?
It needs to.
I mean, you have to go down to, like, if your employee is going to be aerating the grass, depending on who you get reviewing that, they might request that you tell them how they'll be aerating the grass, which is stupid and crazy, but that's what you have to do.
So what you're going to be doing, what tools you're going to be using.
Oh, the tools. The tools are a big one.
All the tools. If you're going to be using a riding lawnmower, you need to specify that as opposed to a push mower.
So it's a lot of fun, and this is where, you're starting to get an idea of how much work it can be.
But the trickier part is specifying where the employees will be working. Every geographic area they're going to be working in has to be listed. You run a resort. Your resort's located in one city, one town. That's easy.
But what if you're a construction company that does siding, right? And you go between North Carolina, Virginia, and Georgia.
That's easy if you know all your projects over a year in advance. But if you're constantly generating more projects, signing new contracts, this can be really tricky. You essentially have to anticipate and guess every location that you're going to have work in. So if you're working in big cities and small cities, you'll end up paying your employees the same.
So this is for another video, but you have to end up being strategic about who you're requesting and where you want those requested workers to actually perform their duties. Because it might not be in your interest to get a worker who's going to work both in New York City and in rural Kentucky.
All right, you've gotten your prevailing wage determination. You're ready to move on to the next major step. This is going to be your 9142. You file it through iCert. iCert is a web portal that the Department of Labor uses. You're using iCert, you're filing the 9142. They provide that document for you. You go through different tabs, you fill out the blanks. It's pretty good. A lot of it's boilerplate info that you've put into other documents before.
I hope that's helpful. When you're filling out a form, you go through, you fill out the blanks.
So what goes with your 9142? Well, you mentioned it's not that hard of a process. It's only 11 or 12 pages. You're filling out blanks. That's the easy part. When you get to that last tab in the iCert portal, that's when it gets a little tricky. You're going to have several attachments. Your first attachment, you're going to have your prevailing wage determination that you just received. That's your ETA 9141.
Hey, Trent, what's this?
Save it.
What is it?
Save it.
What is it?
That's our temporary statement of need.
It's one of the attachments.
It is one of the attachments.
It's a 300-page attachment.
300 pages, that's about average.
That's about average.
A temporary statement of need could range anywhere from probably 150 pages to 450 pages.
It just depends on how good your records are and how many people you're requesting.
So your statement of need, it needs to be pretty thorough. It needs to outline why your need is temporary, which enumerated category your need falls into. How do you do this? You need business records, financial records, employment records. That's right. Every employee who you've employed, you need to demonstrate it. Demonstrate what jobs you've been working on and which jobs you could have been working on.
If that's already boring to you, don't worry. We got a whole nother video explaining exactly what you need to do.
So this is the point where you're going to wish you hired an attorney. Do you want to draft a 300-page argument?
We don't even want to draft that argument, but we're good at it. Should we tell them we don't want to do that? All right. So you've gotten through the 9142B. You've responded to all your notices of deficiency. You've gotten
Temporary certification.
temporary certification. Now what do you do?
So all temporary certification means is you can start recruiting locally. So you're going to need to place ads. Your first ad goes in your state workforce agency's website.
The good news is that one's free.
It is. Also, you're going to have to place your ad in the local newspaper.
The bad news is that one's not free.
You pay per word, and whatever you do, don't hire an ad agency.
Do not hire an ad agency. Can we say that one more time?
Do not hire an ad agency. Usually you won't be able to find anybody, or else you would have already hired them. So if you don't find anybody, the next step is filling out a recruitment report.
Well, we've had some applicants come through that are less than
Stellar.
desirable.
Less than stellar.
I think my favorite one was with the Twitter account where he talked about
Shaving a cat.
shaving a cat,
And there was a picture of it.
and it was clearly torture.
That's probably not the employee you want to hire, and
He shaved a cat.
we had no trouble explaining that one.
He also had a prior criminal record, which was not surprising at that point.
If you've shaved a cat, you've probably done some other shady stuff in your career.
He shaved a cat and put it online, like a real cat. I think it wasn't even his cat. I'm pretty sure that was a feral cat.
Does that matter, though?
It matters a little bit. It's weird. Like if it was his own cat, he'd be like, "Hey,
My cat needs a haircut.
my cat needs
I
a
get
haircut.
it.
It's
I
hot."
get it. Mhm.
But he found a feral cat
And shaved it.
and shaved it.
And he was really proud.
Didn't get hired.
So after you filled out your recruitment report, send it into the Department of Labor, and that's when you have to sit and wait for your final determination from the Department of Labor. However, if the Department of Labor says yes, you're not approved yet. You still have to go to the USCIS to get a final approval.
And that's right. You have the honor, after going through all this, of going through it all over again, except this time you don't have the advantage of doing it digitally. So let's talk about the I-129.
The I-129, that is what you file with CIS. This is your final application.
It is basically you printing out what you've given to the Department of Labor in hard copy twice, and then sending a package that often weighs as much as an Olympic weight via overnight mail to USCIS. I can't tell you how many times we've gotten that full package back through government mistake. And
well, also, I mean, don't forget the I-129 itself. It's a 40-page document.
yeah.
Actually, only about 20 pages apply to the H2B program.
I think I just block it out of my mind because it's
So you have
so
to
long.
you have to
it's
pay
terrible.
very close attention as you're looking at the I-129 document to make sure you don't check a box that doesn't apply, because that can send it back also.
very quickly. We've never had that happen, but definitely if you tried to do this pro se, meaning by yourself, that would almost certainly happen. And again, 40 pages. So 9142B,
About 12 pages or so.
I-129 for some reason, 40, but you have to do it. And you have to do it again and again and again. And if you get through that process, you get that 129 approval, there is one last step. You actually have to have your workers now, right? So you get approved from 1 spot, 2 spots, 6 spots. You might have applied for a particular worker. Either you have to work with a recruiter who will then find 6 people to fill your 6 spots, who will then go to their consulate in whatever the country they're in and get their visas. Or you'll tell the person who you've directly applied for to go to their consulate and get their visa. And at that point, you have to provide for transportation for them to get to your work site, and that's a whole nother part of this process that doesn't have anything to do with the approval, but that definitely has a lot to do with your wallet. And we're going to be covering that in another video as well.
So if we've piqued your interest, you're trying out the H2B program, you want to know more about the specific steps that we discussed, you want to know what peak load actually means.
Do they even remember what peak load is from the start of the video?
Probably not.
If you got this far, though, you must be interested, so you're probably aware of it.
So if you want to know more about each of these steps, we're going to get into more detail and really try to help you out and describe the process for you
In the next few videos. And in the meantime, if you think you definitely want to do this or you want to find out more, you can always call us or just sign up through a consultation form on our website, https://bullcity.lawyer.
I think that covers it for today. Like I said, tune in. We have a whole series on this. It's that big of a deal.
We got a new YouTube channel. We think it's pretty cool. We have a blog that's always been very active. We encourage you to check us out, Bull City Lawyer. Subscribe to our channel. It really helps us. It's going to let us know that this is helpful to you. Until next time, I'm Damien DeNoble,
Trent Williams.
Bull City Lawyer.